I apologize for not reviewing Hunter X. At the time, I didn't know it costed 200 Robux, and now it has like 4 players anyways. So instead, I'm reviewing this new dungeon game, Dungeon Crusaders. Upon entering the game, you are given a basic magic staff, sword, and fireball spell. There is no tutorial, although it's pretty obvious what to do, especially if you've played a dungeon game in the past. Something to note is that a fire spell is only effective if you have mage gear, so in the beginning it's better to be a mage. There are classes in this game, however there aren't skill points, so your class is entirely dependent on your gear. You can equip one of each: helmet, chest piece, legs, amulet, ring, and of course your weapon. The 3 classes of equipment are warrior, mage, and guardian. Warriors and mages are for DPS, and the guardian is a very tanky class that uses healing to keep your allies alive. They use shields as a weapon, which do very little damage, however they get a large health boost. To the dungeon menu, there is only one dungeon that has 3 difficulties. Each difficulty needs a level. Novice, level 1, 5 for advanced, and 10 for chaos. There are also hardcore and extreme options. To do a hardcore, you have to be 1 level higher than the required for the dungeon. Getting into the actual dungeon now, there are 2 types of regular enemies: mages and warriors. The mages have ranged attacks and will chase you at a very slow pace. Warriors have a very small range, but they will chase you around at a much faster pace. There are 2 bosses in the dungeon, the golem and the tortoise. The golem is the first boss, and he has a pretty large amount of health. He also summons hairy spikes that linger and do damage over time if you stand in them. The tortoise is the final boss, and he has almost double the HP of the golem, and has a large AoE attacks that do lots of damage. When completing the dungeon, the player is rewarded with 1 piece of random gear, or 2 if you're in hardcore. The gear in the game follows a regular rarity system. Tier 1 is gray, Tier 2 is green, Tier 3 is blue, Tier 4 is purple, Tier 5 is reddish pinkish, Tier 6 is yellow/gold. As you do harder dungeons, the rarity of the dropped gear increases. There is no chance of getting a Tier 6 piece of armor from a novice dungeon, but you can still get commons from a chaos dungeon. You can sell the gear you do not want for gold, and with that gold you can enchant your gear, increasing the stats by a small amount. This can be pretty tedious to do in higher levels. So is this game good? The game, as you've likely noticed, is pretty much the same as Dungeon Quest, just with only 1 dungeon. While the dungeon isn't too bad of a design, it gets old because it's the only one. The level scaling is also terrible. At level 5, me and my friend went from practically one-shotting every enemy to barely being able to beat it at the next difficulty. And by the time we were level 10, we had barely gotten any gear from the advanced dungeon due to the odds of getting something good. We tried the chaos dungeon with around 8 people, 1 being level 38, and we died except for 2 of us who ran out of time before beating the dungeon. The lobby is also pretty lackluster, being pretty generic and overall not that big. Game does have some pros, as I think the armor and weapons look good, and the game just released so it could have some good potential. The problem is, it isn't that original at all. There are games such as Dungeon Quest that are much more popular than this game, and it will likely stay this way. Thank you for watching my review. If you do like dungeon games and are bored of the ones released, try this one.